The rain was falling in silver sheets against the glass walls of the shuttle station when Ethan Cole stepped off the transport. He had not been to the alien capital in over 2 years, not since his last meeting with Taruk, his only real alien. Friend Tarek had been loud, full of life, and full of strange wisdom. He had been the kind of friend who could make a person laugh, even in the worst times. That was why the news of his death had hit Ethan like a punch in the chest. Now Ethan was here because of a message from an alien law office. The voice on the holocall had been polite but urgent. "You must attend the inheritance ceremony." They had said, no more details. No explanation why a simple human mechanic from the outer rings was being called into an alien council chamber. The alien capital was a city of shining towers and endless streets, lit by glowing lines that curved in the air like threads of light. As Ethan walked through the crowd, he felt every eye on him. Humans were rare here. He could hear the whispers, some curious, some mocking, some openly hostile. Inside the council hall, the air was cool and heavy. The ceiling was so high, it felt like the inside of a cathedral. A long table was set at the front. Covered with alien documents and glowing data crystals, alien leaders sat in their seats, each wearing robes and armor that showed their status at the far side of the room. Ethan saw her. She was sitting perfectly still, hands folded in her lap. Her skin was a deep shade of blue. Smooth like polished stone, her golden eyes glowed softly. Under the light, and her dark hair was tied in an elegant knot. She wore a fitted gown of black and gold that hinted at armor beneath. She was beautiful in a way that made Ethan's chest tighten, but her face was calm and distant, like she was carved from ice, the alien speaker. An elder with silver ridges on his forehead rose to his feet, his voice carried through the hall. "We are here to read the will of Tarak, son of Koresh," he said. "His life was one of honor. His passing leaves an empty place in our hearts, and great wealth in our hands, one by one." The elder listed Tarak's properties, starships, trading routes, rare minerals from far-off systems, and a grand palace in the heart of the capital. Each item drew murmurs from the crowd. The fortune was vast enough to make someone a ruler in their own right. Then came the part that made the room go silent. "All these," the elder said, "he leaves." To Ethan Cole, human of the outer rings, gasps filled the hall. Some laughed in disbelief. Others shouted in anger. Ethan felt heat rise to his face. He had no idea why Tarak would do this. But before he could speak, the elder continued, "And, as our custom demands, the heir inherits not only the possessions, but the guardianship of the widow, Solara Koresh. Until the year of mourning is complete." Ethan's eyes snapped to the blue-skinned woman. Solara, her golden gaze, met his. Her expression did not change. But he thought he saw the faintest flicker of something's displeasure. Or maybe warning. "This is law," the elder finished. "Any who challenge it." Challenged the council. The whispers grew louder. Some alien nobles were already leaving in anger. A few stayed, their eyes sharp, studying Ethan like a hunter studies prey. He realized quickly owning this fortune also meant owning a long list of enemies. When the ceremony ended, Solara stood and walked toward him. Her movement was graceful. Silent and somehow intimidating, she stopped close enough for him to see the fine markings on her skin. "Patterns like silver dust. I did not choose this," she said in a low voice. "And if you think this fortune is a blessing, human, you are already in danger." Before Ethan could answer, she walked past him, her steps echoing against the marble floor, leaving him standing alone in the vast chamber holding an inheritance that felt more like a curse. Somewhere deep inside, Ethan knew this was not the end of Tarak's story. It was only the beginning. The ride from the council hall to Tarak's palace was silent. Ethan sat in the back of a sleek, black hover car, the city lights sliding over the windows like falling stars. Solara sat across from him, Kea, her posture perfect, her eyes fixed on the shifting skyline. She hadn't spoken since warning him in the hall. and he wasn't sure if she was angry, suspicious, or simply uninterested. The hovercar slowed and then glided through massive golden gates. Beyond them rose Terex, Palisa, sprawling structure of silver stone and glowing blue crystal. Its walls caught the light of the twin moons, making it shimmer like a thing from a dream. The front courtyard was large enough to hold a small fleet, guarded by towering alien statues with spears in hand. When they entered, the air was warm. Carrying a faint scent of spice and flowers, a group of servants stall. Thin aliens in matching silver robes bowed low. Their eyes darted quickly to Ethan before they returned to their work. Solara led him through wide halls lined with tapestries that told the history of her people victories. Royal weddings, ancient battles fought under alien suns. She walked as though she belonged in this place, which she did. While Ethan felt like an intruder wearing borrowed shoes. Finally, they reached a great chamber with a round table in the center. The walls here were covered in shelves holding strange objects, alien books, glowing orbs, pieces of metal that hummed faintly. "This will be your workroom," Solara said, her voice even. Tarok used it for council meetings. Ethan glanced around. "And what will you use it for?" he asked. Her golden eyes met his, unblinking. For surviving the next 12 months, the weight in her tone made him straighten. She stepped closer, lowering her voice so the servants outside couldn't hear. "You think inheriting his wealth is a blessing," she said, "but it is also a declaration. By accepting it, you have taken Tarek's allies and his enemies." Ethan rubbed his jaw. "You mean people are going to try to take it from me?" "They already are," she replied. The moment your name was spoken in the hall, plans were set in motion. They will come for the fortune, for the ships, for the palace. And for me, her last words hung in the air like a warning. Before Ethan could reply, the door to the chamber opened and an elderly alien in a dark robe entered. He carried a small silver tray with a glowing cube resting on it. He bowed deeply. "To Solara, my lady. This was found in Lord Tarek's private chamber," the old alien said. "It is addressed to." The human, Ethan, took the cube. It was warm to the touch. He pressed the side, and a small hologram flickered to life. Tarek's familiar face appeared. Smiling sadly, "My friend," the recording began. "If you are seeing this, then my time has ended sooner than expected. I have left you more than wealth. I have left you a responsibility. There are things I could not stop, threats I could not destroy. I trust you will protect Solara, as I would have, and Ethan. Do not trust the council." The image faded, leaving the cube silent in his hands. Solara's expression was unreadable, but her eyes lingered on the cube. "He trusted you more than anyone else," she said quietly. "I still don't know why." That night, Ethan wandered through the palace alone. The place felt too large, too quiet. Every hall seemed to hold a memory that didn't belong to him. He found himself outside a locked door, its surface carved with strange alien symbols. He tried the handle, but it didn't move. As he turned away, he caught a flicker of movement at the far end of the hall. A shadow slipping through the moonlight. He followed, moving quietly, until he reached a balcony below, in the courtyard. A figure in dark armor scaled the wall with impossible speed, heading straight for one of the palace window Solara's chambers. Without thinking, Ethan ran. His footsteps echoed against the stone as he took the servant stairs 2 at a time. He burst into Solara's room just as the intruder slipped inside through the open window. The alien attacker drew a short blade that shimmered with deadly energy. Solara moved faster than Ethan could follow her. Hand snapped up, catching the attacker's wrist. Her other hand struck his neck, and the armored figure collapsed. Unconscious, she stood over him, breathing hard, a hidden dagger in her grip. Ethan stared. You can fight like that." She turned to him, her face calm again. "Did you think I survived this long by being beautiful?" Two guards arrived and dragged the intruder away. Solara closed the window and looked at Ethan. "This is only the first," she said. "There will be more." And for the first time since they'd met, she gave him something that almost looked like a smile, but it wasn't warm. It was the smile of someone who knew exactly how dangerous the next 12 months were going to be. The intruder's capture did not bring peace to the palace. If anything, it made the place feel more alive with danger. Guards patrolled the halls in pairs, and every servant's glance lingered a little too long. Ethan could feel the tension under the surface whispers that stopped when he walked by. Footsteps in corridors where no one should be. Solara didn't speak of the attack the next morning. Instead, she poured herself a cup of steaming silver tea and watched Ethan from across the long breakfast table. The palace's grand dining hall felt empty with only 2 people in it. "You're thinking about leaving," she said without looking up. Ethan set down his fork. "I'm thinking about staying alive." Her golden eyes lifted, steady and unblinking. "If you leave, you'll be dead within the week. Outside these walls, you're just prey." He leaned back in his chair, and inside, her lips curved slightly, not a smile, more like a dare. "Inside, you have me." It wasn't reassurance, but it was the truth. He'd seen her move during the fight, sharp, precise, like every motion had been trained 1,000 times. If Solara wanted him dead, he'd be gone before he could blink. If she wanted him alive, that might be the only reason he was still breathing. Later that day, Ethan decided to explore what exactly he had inherited. Solara led him to a private hangar. At the back of the palace, the doors slid open to reveal rows of sleek starships, some built for speed, others for war. A handful of mechanics worked silently, their heads lowering when Solara passed. "These are the fastest ships in the southern quadrant," Solara said, running her hand along the hull of a silver-blue craft. "Tarok kept them in perfect condition. They are worth more than the palace itself." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Ships like these attract the wrong kind of attention." "Ships like these are why you are still alive," she replied, as they walked deeper into the hangar. A tall alien male stepped out from between 2 ships. His skin was pale and ridged, his eyes narrow with a predatory gleam. He wore fine armor but no insignia. Man who didn't need to advertise his status. "Solara," he said smoothly. And the human, Solara's voice was cold. "Lord Vesh, this hangar is private." Vesh ignored her, his gaze fixed on Ethan. "You have something that belongs to me." Ethan folded his arms. "Not that I know of." Vesh smiled without humor. "The southern trade routes to Rock promised them to me before his death, and now, somehow, they're in your possession." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You won't hold them for long." Before Ethan could reply, Solara stepped between them. "Leave," she said, her voice low but edged with steel. Vesh's eyes lingered on Ethan for one more long moment. Then he turned and walked away. His footsteps echoed in the vast hangar until the doors closed behind him. "That," Solara said, turning to Ethan, "is one of the shadows I warned you about back in the palace." Ethan found himself studying Tarek's encrypted files again. They were locked behind layers of alien code he couldn't crack. Late that night, as he sat in the workroom, a faint hum filled the era signal he didn't recognize. It was coming from the wall. He pressed his ear to it and heard faint voices. The language was alien, but he caught fragments that translated into words he knew. "Kill. Air. Before the month ends." Before he could listen longer, the sound faded. The wall was solid stone, but something told him there were places in this palace he hadn't been shown. The next day, Solara introduced him to the palace's treasury. Vast chamber of glowing chests, alien crystals, and rare artifacts from dozens of worlds. In the center, on a raised platform, sat a golden crown set with a single burning red gem. "What's that?" Ethan asked. Solara's voice was careful. "It's not a crown, it's a key." Tarek kept it here because if it falls into the wrong hands, entire colonies could be controlled. And now I'm the one holding it, Ethan said, more to himself. Then to her, Solara's gaze locked on his. Which means you are the one they will come for. That night, Ethan stood at his balcony. Looking out over the alien city, he could see movement far below, lights shifting, shadows crossing rooftops. His instincts told him it wasn't just the city breathing. It was the hunt beginning. Somewhere out there, in the dark, enemies he didn't even know yet were drawing closer. And inside the palace, even the walls seemed to be listening. The next morning came with a heavy silence. Ethan woke to find two of the palace guards missing from their posts. Solara was already in the workroom, a silver data crystal glowing in her hand. She didn't greet him, didn't even look up, just slid the crystal across the table toward him. This was hidden behind the old wall panel in Tarek's private chamber. She said, "I found it." Last night, Ethan picked it up, feeling the faint hum of stored information. "What's on it?" "Answers," she replied, "and danger if you're careless." She touched the crystal to a small projection disc, and the air above the table shimmered to life. A recording began grainy, as if recorded in secret. Tarek's voice came first, low and tense. "The council is wrong. Vesh and his allies are trading with the outer syndicates. They're selling weapons banned by our laws, and they're targeting human colonies next. If I oppose them openly, the sound cut off in a sudden burst of static. Then, another voice, deep and cold, spoke in alien tongue. Solara translated quietly, "If Tarok refuses, we remove him. And take everything." Ethan's jaw tightened. "So they killed him." Solara's golden eyes met his. "Not just killed him, they made it look like illness, so no one would question it." The recording ended. The workroom fell silent, except for the faint hum of the palace's systems. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "You knew this?" "I suspected," she said, "but now we have proof, and if we use it right, we can destroy them." He studied her carefully. "Why are you telling me this? You could take this proof to the council yourself." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Because you're the heir. Without you, I have no legal claim. And because—" She paused, her voice softening for the first time. "Tarok trusted you, even when I didn't understand why." Ethan felt the weight of that trust settling on him like armor and chains at the same time. That afternoon, they met in the palace's hidden strategy room, a narrow chamber deep underground. Its walls lined with holomaps and tactical displays. Solara showed him the routes Tarek had controlled. Star lanes connecting trade worlds. Supply chains running through neutral systems. "These routes are the reason Vesh wants you gone," Solara explained. "Control them. And you control the flow of resources. Remove you, and he takes them without question." Ethan leaned over the map, tracing one glowing line with his finger. "And if we block these routes," to his allies. Solara's eyes lit faintly. "We cut off their supply lines, weaken their grip." A sharp chime interrupted them, an incoming transmission. Solara tapped the console, and the image of a pale alien appeared. Cloaked in shadows, his voice was oily, mocking, human. He drawled, "You've inherited things you don't understand. Leave now. Take a ship and vanish. Or we'll send you to join your friend in the afterlife." Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady. "Tell Vesh, I'm not going anywhere." The transmission cut off without another word. Solara's lips curved slightly, bold, but dangerous. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The palace felt too quiet, too still. He walked the halls until he found himself before that same locked door he'd seen days earlier. Something about it gnawed at him. This time, he pressed a hidden panel beside the frame, and with a soft hiss, the lock disengaged. The door swung open to reveal a narrow spiral staircase leading downward. The air was cooler here, and faint lights flickered along the walls at the bottom. He found a small chamber crew private vault. Inside were shelves stacked with sealed cases, strange alien devices, and one large metallic box engraved with the same symbol from the golden key crown Solara had shown him when he opened the box. He found rows of documents and data crystals, all marked with the insignia of the Alien Council. He realized this wasn't just proof of Tarek's murder, was proof of years of corruption. Enough to shatter Vesh's power entirely. He didn't hear Solara until she spoke behind him. Now you understand why you can't leave. Ethan turned. If we take this public, they'll kill us before it reaches the council floor. She cut in. We need to be smarter than that. We use the information to make them desperate, force them to act where everyone can see. For the first time since Tarek's death, Ethan felt something more than confusion or fear. He felt purpose. Solara stepped closer, her voice low. You are not just holding his fortune now. You are holding the future of two worlds. And if you fall, so will I, somewhere above them. The palace's outer alarms began to wail. The shadows were no longer waiting. The attack had begun. The alarms screamed through the palace like the cry of some ancient beast. Ethan ran up the stone steps 2 at a time, Solara right behind him, her movements sharp and silent despite the speed. The grand hallway was lit with flashing red lights, and the air carried the faint, bitter smell of smoke. 2 guards came rushing toward them, one bleeding from a cut on his shoulder. My lady? Attackers breached the West Courtyard small strike team, heavily armed, the guard reported. Get the wounded to the inner chambers, Solara ordered. Seal the main gates. Ethan didn't wait for orders. He turned down the corridor toward the sound of blaster fire. His boots pounded against the floor, and his heart raced not with fear, but with the adrenaline of knowing. This was no longer just about him. The West Courtyard was chaos. Alien mercenaries in dark armor poured through the shattered gate, firing plasma rounds that splashed against the stone walls. Palace guards returned fire from behind columns. The night air was thick with the hum and hiss of energy weapons. Ethan ducked behind a low wall and yanked the blaster from a fallen guard. Solara appeared beside him, pulling 2 slim, curved blades from her belt. Her golden eyes flashed in the moonlight. You take the ones on the left, she said. Voice calm as if they were discussing dinner plans. You really trust me with that? Ethan asked. I don't have time not to, she replied. They moved together without thinking. Ethan's blaster dropping to mercenaries who tried to flank them, Solara darting forward with fluid. Precise strikes every time he thought she was cornered. She turned the movement into a killing blow. Every time he was about to be caught, she was already there, cutting his attacker down within minutes. The courtyard was littered with defeated enemies. The surviving mercenaries fled into the night, leaving the broken gate swinging on its hinges. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. You fight like you've been doing it your whole life. Solara wiped her blade on a fallen cloak. I have, she said simply. Then, after a pause, and you fight like someone who refuses to die? They shared a brief, almost reluctant smile. Before the moment passed, back inside, they stood in the war room, holomaps flickering before them. Ethan noticed her hands trembling slightly as she poured herself water. She caught him looking. It's not fear, she said. It's anger. Ethan nodded. They're coming harder now. Means we're getting close to something they don't want us to find. Over the next few days, the palace became a fortress. Ethan worked with the guards, reinforcing weak points. Setting up early warning systems, Solara taught him alien combat drills, correcting his stance, showing him how to read an opponent's movements. She was a strict teacher, but every now and then she allowed herself a small word of praise. One evening, after hours of training, they sat together in the quiet of the balcony. The alien city glowed beneath them, dotted with moving lights like fireflies. Why did Tarek trust you so much? Solara asked suddenly. You weren't from his world? You had nothing to offer him in power or influence? Ethan leaned back in his chair, thinking. Maybe because I never wanted anything from him except friendship. Her gaze softened. That's rare here, he smiled faintly. It's rare where I'm from too. They sat in silence for a while. The air between them less tense than before. The next day, a package arrived for Ethan. No return mark. Inside was a small metallic sphere. Warm to the touch, he turned it over, frowning, until Solara's eyes widened. Put it down, she hissed. Pulling him back, the sphere clinked softly on the table, and a moment later it split open, revealing a tiny, pulsing red core. A tracker, she said. Now they know exactly where you are at all times. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then let's give them a reason to regret finding us. That night, they took one of Tarek's leak ships and flew under cover of darkness to a neutral space station. Using information from Tarek's files, they planted false leads, fake shipments, phantom fleet movements designed to draw Vesh's attention away from the palace. The plan worked better than expected. Within a week, reports came in of Vesh's forces chasing shadows in 3 different systems. Solara looked at Ethan with something almost like admiration. You're learning how to fight our way, she said. He grinned. Or maybe you're just teaching me to, well. Their bond, forged in distrust, was now growing into something else: trust, respect, and maybe something deeper they weren't ready to name. But in the shadows, danger was still moving. And both of them knew it, because no matter how strong their alliance became, the war for Tarek's legacy was far from over. The palace had never felt so unsafe. Ethan paced the long hallway outside the war room, his mind racing. The events of the last weeks had pushed him into a new world, a world of secrets, danger, and broken trust. Yet nothing had prepared him for the truth he was about to face. Solara entered quietly, her expression serious but calm. They've found a way inside, she said, her golden eyes sharp. Someone we trusted. Ethan stopped pacing, his heart pounding. Who? She shook her head. I don't know yet, but I have a suspicion. That night, Ethan gathered the palace's closest aides. The grand chamber was filled with tension. Everyone knew the stakes were higher than ever. Trust had become the most valuable and the most dangerous commodity. Ethan's trusted human ally, Marcus, was among them. Marcus had been with him from the start, guiding him through alien politics and palace intrigue. Ethan never imagined that Marcus could betray him. But whispers from the shadows painted a different picture. The palace security intercepted a transmission, a coded message sent from within. It revealed plans to sell palace secrets to Vesh's rival clan. The betrayal was closer than anyone feared. Ethan confronted Marcus privately. Why? He asked, voice low but full of hurt. Marcus avoided his gaze. It's survival, he muttered. You don't understand what you're up against. This is bigger than you and me. Bigger than loyalty. Ethan's voice cracked. I trusted you. Marcus's expression was conflicted but firm. Sorry, Ethan, but sometimes you have to choose the side that keeps you alive. Before Ethan could respond, alarms blared through the palace. The rival clan had launched an attack, coordinated and ruthless. Armed mercenaries stormed the gates, cutting through palace defenses like a blade through silk. Ethan and Solara fought side by side. His blaster fired steady bursts, while her blades danced in deadly arcs. But the attackers were many, and the palace walls shook with the force of their assault. In the chaos, Ethan's mind raced. Marcus's betrayal had weakened their defenses. How could he trust anyone now? Solara grabbed Ethan's arm, her eyes fierce. We have to protect the vault. Tarek's legacy depends on it. Together, they raced to the hidden vault beneath the palace. As they descended the spiral staircase, the sounds of battle echoed behind them. The vault's heavy doors slammed shut, sealing them inside. Ethan activated the defense systems Tarak had left behind. Energy barriers hummed to life, sealing the chamber from intruders. Solara pulled a small data crystal from her belt and inserted it into a console. The holographic map revealed the palace layout and enemy positions. They'll breach the outer defenses soon, she said. We need a plan. Ethan studied the map, then looked at Solara. We'll use the tunnels. There's a secret exit beneath the east wing. If we can get there, we can call for reinforcements. Solara nodded, her hand brushing against his. A brief moment of connection amid the storm. They slipped through narrow corridors and hidden passages, avoiding the chaos above. The palace, once a place of splendor, now felt like a labyrinth of shadows and threats. As they reached the secret exit, a group of mercenaries blocked their path. A fierce battle erupted. Ethan's blaster and Solara's blades moved in perfect harmony. The fight was brutal, but swift. When the last mercenary fell, Ethan and Solara emerged into the night air. The city lights twinkled beyond the palace walls. Indifferent to their struggle, Ethan reached for his comlink, sending the call for help. As they waited, Solara leaned against him, her voice soft. We survived because we trusted each other. Athe smiled, tired but determined. And we'll survive what comes next. But even as reinforcements rushed to their aid, the palace lay wounded, and the shadow of betrayal lingered heavily. The final battle for Tarak's legacy was close, and no one could say who would stand victorious. The dawn broke slowly over the alien city, casting long shadows across Tarak's battered palace. Ethan stood on the highest balcony. Looking out at the skyline scarred by the night's battle, the air was thick with smoke and the distant hum of emergency ships arriving. His hands clenched tightly on the railing as memories of the past weeks flooded his mind. Solara approached silently, her armor scratched but her posture unbroken. She stood beside him, her golden eyes reflecting the rising sun. The council will meet today, she said softly. They will decide who inherits Tarak's legacy, you or the conspirators. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of that decision pressing down on him like the heavy morning air. We fought for this, he said. But will they see me as the rightful heir? A human among aliens. Solara turned to face him, her gaze steady. They will see what Tarak saw, a man who fought with honor, with heart. Someone worthy. Together, they entered the grand hall where the council awaited. The room was filled with alien nobles and leaders, their faces masks of curiosity and doubt. Some sneered openly, others whispered behind folded hands. The council elder, silver ridges gleaming under the crystal lights, stood to speak. The trial for Tarak's inheritance will begin, he announced. Ethan Cole, step forward. Ethan's steps echoed in the vast chamber as he moved to the center, Solara standing close behind, a silent pillar of strength. Evidence was presented: Tarak's recordings, encrypted files revealing the corruption, testimonies from palace guards loyal to Tarak's memory, and the proof of betrayal within the council's own ranks. The conspirators tried to deny, to twist the truth, but the weight of Tarak's legacy was undeniable. In a final moment, Solara spoke, her voice ringing clear. This man did not just inherit a fortune. He inherited a promise to protect the weak, to honor the past, and to fight for a future where two worlds can stand as one. A hush fell over the chamber, then murmurs of approval. Some council members nodded, others lowered their heads. In respect, the elder raised his hand. Ethan Cole, by the will of Tarak and the strength you have shown, you are declared the rightful heir to the fortune, the title, and the responsibilities that come with them. Ethan felt a surge of relief and pride, but also a deep sense of duty settle in his chest. Solara stepped forward, her hand reaching for his. "You are not alone in this," she said. "I choose to stand with you, not because of law, but because of what we have built together." The crowd watched in silence, then erupted into applause and cheers. Some even stood, acknowledging the new alliance between human and alien outside. The city seemed to breathe a little easier, the sky brighter, as if the stars themselves approved. Ethan looked at Solara, his alien bride, his partner in this new life. "This is just the beginning," he said. She smiled then, a genuine smile filled with hope and promise. "Together, we will write the future." And so, the human who had once been an outsider became the heir of two worlds, a bridge between species, a symbol of unity, and the keeper of a legacy forged in friendship, betrayal, and love.